Good morning, students. Welcome to the second part of the story Grief by Anton Chekhov. If you remember a little, the story Grief talks about the life of the protagonist Iona, and as the title suggests, Iona is struck with the grief of having lost his son. Now, the problem with Iona is that he is desperately wanting somebody to share his grief with, to rent out his heart, to express the feelings which have taken over his complete self, but he is unable to find anybody to whom he can pour out the grief that is there in his heart. When the story begins in Unit 1, we are acquainted with the atmosphere in which Iona and his horse are standing. Both of them are in complete white, covered completely with white because of the falling snow, but both of them are motionless, they do not move a bit. What they are contemplating is beyond anybody's comprehension, especially of the horse, but we know about Iona that basically he is contemplating about the death of his son and how he wishes to share this with somebody. Finally, they manage to get a passenger to ferry somewhere, and the passenger happens to be an officer who is seated at the back and shows a little interest in what Iona has to say to him. Iona just tells him in one sentence that my son Baron died this week. The officer is not much interested in listening to the rest of the story, and he urges Iona to focus on the road and to deposit him where he's supposed to go. So after putting him at this proper place, Iona once again stands still with the horse, waiting for another passenger. And in Unit 3, we come to know that he has 3 passengers to carry. They are 3 young men. 2 of them are tall and lanky, and the third one is short and humpbacked. Now, all these 3 people are wanting to go to the police bridge. So, when all the 3 are seated in his cab, Iona picks up his reins and smacks his lips. The young men sitting at the back, they are jostling with each other using bad language, and all of them are wanting to get to the seat. They wrangle with each other, they abuse each other, and with much petulance, they decide among themselves that a boy with a humpback would stand as he is the smallest and the rest of them would sit. Now the humpback boy, he says to Iona that hurry up, what a cab you have got, there is not a worse one to be found in all the Petersburg. Iona just giggles. He tries to take it all lightly what they have to say. They are talking among themselves and they are throwing insults at Iona. I'll read out the passage which expresses what Iona feels. Iona feels at his back the little man wriggling and the tremble in his voice. He listens to the insults hurled at him, sees the people, and little by little the feeling of loneliness leaves him. The humpback goes on swearing until he gets mixed up in some elaborate 6-foot oath and chokes with coughing. The lankies begin to talk about a certain Nadezhda Petrovna. Iona looks around at them several times. He waits for a temporary silence, then turning around again, he murmurs. So these lines are an expression of what Iona has been wanting to do with somebody who comes as a passenger in his cab. He wanted to narrate his story to the police officer who was there with him. Now he is wanting to share his sorrows with these 3 young men. But the lines suggest that Iona is waiting for a temporary silence. This temporary silence indicates that probably Iona is waiting for the time when these 3 young men will stop talking to each other, will stop shouting, will stop abusing, and then he can get a moment's time where he can spell out what's there in his heart. So when Iona notices that there is a slight gap, there is a slight silence, He murmurs, "My son died this week." And the reply that he gets is, "We must all die," sighs the humpback, wiping his lips after an attack of coughing. "Now hurry up, gentlemen. I really cannot go any farther like this. When will he get us there?" "Well, just you stimulate him a little in the neck." "You old pest, do you hear? I will bone your neck for you. If one treated the like of you with ceremony, one would have to go on foot. Do you hear, old serpent Greenwich, or do you not care a spit?" Now, this is the bad language that these three young men are employing against Iona, little knowing the fact that Iona is too much struck with grief that he is in no position to, reply back to them. Iona hears rather than feels the blows they deal him. Now, this is very subtly put by Chekhov, that Iona hears rather than feels. He is not taking anything to heart, because he notices that whatever they are saying is in bad taste, is very bad. He already has so much of grief with him that he is not wanting to say, he is not wanting to take more. So he just laughs it away, and what he says is, he laughs. "They are gay young gentlemen, God bless them." So one of the man asks, "Cabby, are you married?" Hi, gay young gentleman, now have only a wife, the moist ground, he, ho, ho," this is what he says. "My son has died and I am alive. A wonderful thing, death mistook the door. Instead of coming to me, it went to my son." This is what Iona replies. When the young men, they get a little personal with him, Iona just tells them that he has lost his son, and probably he is old enough to die. His son was not old to die, and therefore he says that death mistook the door. Iona turns round to tell them how his son died, but at this moment the humpbacked, giving a little sigh, announces, "Thank God they have at least reached their destination," and Iona watches them disappear through the dark entrance. Once more he is alone and again surrounded by silence. So what we observe in Unit 3 is the careless attitude, the lack of feelings towards others, and Chekhov has very subtly, he has demonstrated that how unkind human beings can be towards others. When Iona is wanting to tell the three young men what has happened to him, the grief that he carries in his heart, he is not getting a proper occasion to tell them, and the language that has been employed by these three young men to harass Iona, to speak ill about him, has little effect on Iona, because he has already so much of his own grief that he doesn't have any space for more. So as story advances, we reach to Unit 4, and Chekhov says that his grief, which has abated for a short while, returns and rends its heart with greater force. So when Iona has company, he feels his sorrow a little less, but when he is alone, he finds that it is more pinching. So with an anxious and a hurried look, he searches among the crowds passing on either side of the street to find if there is just one person who will listen to him. But the crowds hurry up without noticing him or his trouble. Iona then he goes to a hall porter with some sacking and decides to talk to him. "Friend, what sort of time is it?" he asks. "Past 9. What are you standing here for? Move on." So Iona moves on a few steps, doubles himself up and abandons himself to his grief. He sees it is useless to turn to people for help. In less than 5 minutes, he straightens himself, holds up his hand as if he felt some sharp pain, and gives a tug at his reins, and he can bear it no longer. The stables, he thinks, and the little horse, as if he understood, starts off at a trot. So Unit 4 is very poignant, full of the grief which Iona felt in his heart. And Iona, at this point of time, he realizes when the third person he encounters the hall porter and he is wanting to talk to him, the hall porter just snubs him away and he says that go, move on. I don't have time to listen to you. So at that particular time, Iona is jolted out of his life, he's jolted out of his mind, and then he realizes, there's a sentence written by Chekhov, he says, Iona realizes it is useless to turn to people for help. So at this point of time, Iona realizes that there is nobody with whom he can share his grief. Nobody is going to listen to what he has to say, and he makes up his mind and decides to return to the stables, and probably the horse has also understood what Iona is wanting, and both of them move towards the stables. So in this class we will discuss only the two units, that is unit 3 and unit 4. So we have completed almost 3/4 of the story, and still we feel that at this point of time in the story, Iona is not able to find anybody with whom he can share his grief. Will Iona get somebody to share his grief, or how does he open up his heart? This we will discuss in the remaining 2 units, that is unit 5 and unit 6 of the story. Thank you, students.